Imagine this. You are lying on a cold operating table. Your blood is pouring out inside your own body. A surgeon is screaming that you might not make it through the night. And the one person who is supposed to love you more than anyone in the world picks up the phone and says, "Your sister needs me more right now." This is not a movie. This is exactly what happened to a 31-year-old nurse named Casey Rutledge. My name is Casey. I am a registered nurse. I spend my life saving other people. But on the night I needed saving myself, my own mother refused to come. What she chose instead? A dog with a sore knee and a champagne toast at a bridal shop. And what I discovered after that one phone call would unravel a 35-year-old family lie that was never supposed to come out. If you have ever felt like you were the invisible child in your own family, this story is for you. Stay with me, because the ending is not what you expect. Let's start from the beginning. Casey's full name is Asha Rutledge, but everyone calls her Casey. She is 31 years old. She works as a registered nurse at St. Bridget Regional Hospital, the same hospital where she would almost die. Casey is the older daughter, the responsible one, the reliable one. For years, her life looked like this. After finishing a brutal 12-hour double shift at the hospital, she would not go home and rest. She would drive to her parents' house. She would organize her mother Lorraine's medications. She would run errands. She would pay bills. She would do everything to be useful. Why? Because that was the only way she ever felt loved. In Casey's family, there were 2 daughters, but there was only one star, her younger sister, Madison. Madison was getting married, and for the last 3 months, the entire family group chat was only about one thing: Madison's wedding, Madison's dress, Madison's flowers, Madison's dog. Madison had a small dog, and that dog had a minor knee issue. That dog was getting more attention than Casey ever got in a year. Casey's father, David, was not home. David is an engineer, a good, quiet, hardworking man. He was in Singapore on a 5-week work assignment. He was the only person in the family who truly saw Casey. But he was 8,000 miles away, and his American SIM card was off. On that day, Casey had just finished a double shift. She was exhausted. She was driving home. She was thinking about sleeping for 12 hours straight. At an intersection 2 blocks from her apartment, a delivery box truck ran a red light at 40 miles per hour. He didn't even brake. He T-boned Casey's car on the driver's side. The sound was so loud that people came running out of shops. The paramedics got there in 7 minutes. They had to cut Casey out of her car. Her injuries were catastrophic: a ruptured spleen, 3 fractured ribs, a fractured wrist, a concussion, and massive internal bleeding. They rushed her to the nearest trauma center, which happened to be St. Bridget, her own hospital, the place where she works. The nurses in the ER recognized her instantly. Her scrubs were covered in blood. Her face was white. They rushed her straight to emergency surgery. They had to remove her spleen to stop the bleeding. And this is where our story takes its darkest turn. Every patient has an emergency contact form. Casey's form said one name: Lorraine Rutledge. Mother at 8 to 45 p.m., while Casey was open on the operating table, the charge nurse, Nora, who was Casey's friend and mentor, picked up the phone and called Lorraine. This is the first call. Nora says, "Miss S. Rutledge, your daughter Casey has been in a severe car accident. She is in emergency surgery right now. She has internal bleeding. You need to come to street. Bridget, immediately." Do you know what Lorraine said? Lorraine said, "Oh, is she going to be okay? Because Madison really needs me right now. We're at the bridal boutique. Her dog has to go to the emergency vet. Can you just keep me updated?" Nora was speechless. She has been a nurse for 20 years. She has never heard a mother say that. An hour later, Casey got worse. Her blood pressure dropped. The trauma surgeon himself called Lorraine. He said, "Miss S. Rutledge, this is Dr. Miller. I need you to understand your daughter might not survive the night. You need to be here." And Lorraine's answer was, "Well, I am sure she is in good hands. You are the doctors. Madison is having a very stressful night with her dog. I can't just leave her." She hung up. No one came. Not that night, not the next morning. Casey woke up 3 days later in the ICU. She had a breathing tube down her throat. She had tubes coming out of everywhere. She was in agony. She looked around the room, expecting to see her mother, her sister, anyone. The room was empty. The bed next to her had a family, a husband, a wife, kids, all holding hands, taking shifts, sleeping in chairs. Casey's chair was empty for 3 days. On day 4, she was strong enough to sit up a little. She borrowed Nora's phone. Nora told her everything, what Lorraine had said on the phone. That same afternoon, Casey did something that broke her heart even more. She opened Instagram, and there it was, on Madison's story, a photo from that same night, the night Casey almost died. Lorraine and Madison holding champagne glasses, laughing in a bridal boutique, with the caption, "Dress fitting magic with mommy." While Casey was bleeding out on a table, her mother was toasting champagne. And this is just the beginning of the betrayal. The 7 days alone. For 7 days, Casey was alone in that hospital. Can you imagine? She works in that hospital. Every doctor, every nurse who walked by knew her. They would come and sit with her for 5 minutes when they had a break, but her own family never came. On day 5, Casey finally did something she had never done before. She broke the family rule. The family rule was, don't bother Dad when he is working. Lorraine controlled all communication with David. She told everyone, "Don't disturb your father. He needs to focus to get his bonus." But Casey was done. She got her laptop and she emailed her father directly in Singapore. She wrote, "Dad, I was in a severe car accident 5 days ago. Truck ran a red light. Ruptured spleen, 3 broken ribs, broken wrist, concussion. I have been in the hospital alone for 5 days. Mom knows. She hasn't come. Please don't worry. I am going to be okay. Love, Casey." David called back within 10 minutes. He was devastated. He was crying on the phone. He said, "Casey, what are you talking about? Your mother told me you had a minor fender bender, a small bump. She said you were fine and didn't want to be disturbed. She said you were just resting at home." That was the moment Casey understood. Her mother hadn't just refused to come. Her mother had lied to her father to keep him away. David said he was booking the next flight home immediately. 22 hours to fly from Singapore. But Casey did not want to be in that hospital when her mother finally decided to show up for a performance, because she knew Lorraine would come. Not out of love, but out of guilt, once she knew David was coming. So on day 7, Casey did something crazy. As a nurse, she knew how to read her own labs. She knew she was stable enough. She signed her own medical discharge with home care. She discharged herself, and before she left a note on her hospital pillow. It was for her mother. The note said, "Discharged myself. Don't worry, I've had a week of practice being alone. I am at Nora's house. Tell Dad the truth for once. Too late. I already did." Casey went to live with Nora. Exactly as she predicted, 3 hours after she left, Lorraine and Madison finally showed up at the hospital, with flowers, with balloons, loudly asking, "Where is our Casey?" They staged a reunion for the nurses to see, but Casey was already gone. David flew straight from the airport to Nora's house. He hugged his daughter for a long time and cried. Then he went home to confront Lorraine. Lorraine's excuse? She said, "I was protecting David's bonus and retirement. I didn't want him to worry and lose his job. I was thinking of the family. David didn't buy it. A few days later, Madison came to visit Casey at Nora's. She brought a cheap promotional candle from a wedding expo. She stayed for 15 minutes. And do you know what she said? She said, "Casey, I love you, but you kind of hijacked my engagement month. This was supposed to be about my wedding. Can you not post anything dramatic on Facebook?" Casey realized something in that moment. Something painful, but freeing. She had spent 31 years auditioning for her family's love, trying to be useful enough, quiet enough, helpful enough to be loved equally. She was never going to win that audition because the game was rigged from the start. That night, she looked through old family photo albums and she saw the pattern clearly for the first time. In every family vacation photo, Madison was in the center, smiling. Casey was either cropped out or she was the one holding the camera. She was the family photographer, never the family. 6 weeks later, she was still recovering. Her mother insisted she come for a family dinner to prove everything is normal. Casey went. Lorraine served a big steak dinner, even though Casey has been a strict vegetarian for 10 years. Her mother knew that. She just didn't care. Casey went to get her father's reading glasses from his office drawer. And in that drawer, in a junk drawer full of old cards and papers, she found something small. Something laminated. Blood donor cards. And that tiny piece of plastic would blow up her entire family. The blood type that should be impossible. Casey is a nurse. She knows blood types like you know your phone number. She found 4 cards in that drawer. Her father's card, David Rutledge, blood type, O negative, the universal donor. Casey remembered that because her dad always donated at church blood drives. Her mother's card, Lorraine Rutledge, blood type, a positive. Her own card, Casey Rutledge, a negative. That made sense. She got A from her mom and negative from her dad. O negative father and A positive mother can have an A negative child. Perfectly normal. Then she found the 4th card, Madison's old college donor card. Madison Rutledge, blood type, AB positive. Casey's nurse brain stopped. Her hands started shaking. She stared at the cards again. Father, O mother, A daughter, AB. That is biologically impossible. Let me explain this simply because this is the key to the whole mystery. Every child gets 1 blood type letter from mom and 1 from dad. If dad is O, that means dad can only give O. He has no A, no B to give, only O. If mom is A, mom can give A or O. So, a child of an O father and an A mother can only be O or A. Never AB. Never B. It's not rare. It's impossible. Like a man giving birth. It cannot happen. So where did Madison's B come from? There is only one answer. Madison's B came from a different father. Casey's father, David, is not Madison's biological father. Casey felt physically sick. She sat on the floor of her father's office. For 31 years, she thought she was the outsider because she was less pretty, less fun, less lovable than her sister. But the truth was darker. She was the outsider because she was the only true biological daughter. Madison was the product of an affair, and Lorraine had spent 35 years protecting Madison to protect her own secret. Casey needed to verify. Maybe the card was wrong. She went to her church. Her father had donated blood there every year for 20 years. She checked the church records. David Rutledge, O negative, confirmed 12 times. She checked her own medical file at the hospital. A negative, confirmed. She checked her mother's old hospital admission form. A positive. Then she remembered something. Madison had posted her blood type on Facebook once when she was doing a charity blood drive. AB positive. She was proud of it because AB is rare. It was true. Casey was now holding a bomb that could destroy her family. She needed to know more before she did anything. She went to the one person who always told the truth, her Aunt Carol, her father's sister. Carol was 68, retired, living alone, and she never liked Lorraine. Casey drove to Carol's house. She asked, "Aunt Carol, what happened in 1990 before Madison was born?" Carol sighed. She said, "I knew this day would come." And then Carol told her the story that Lorraine had buried for 35 years. The Thursday Secret. It was 1990. Lorraine was 23 years old. She was not with David yet. She was madly in love with a man named Frank Delaney. Frank was a handsome, charming car salesman. He owned a small dealership. Every woman in town thought he was a catch. Lorraine got pregnant with Frank's child, but Frank dumped her. Why? Because at the same time, Frank had met a wealthy heiress from a family that owned half the town. He married the heiress for money. He left Lorraine alone and pregnant. Lorraine was terrified. In 1990, being a single pregnant woman in a small town was a huge shame. Her grandmother was very strict. Her grandmother gave her an ultimatum. "You will marry the next decent man who asks you, or you will leave this house." The next decent man who asked her was David Rutledge. David was a young, kind, stable engineer. He had liked Lorraine since high school. Lorraine said yes immediately. They got married in a rushed ceremony. Carol showed Casey a photo from that wedding. Lorraine is 23, in a white dress, but she is crying. Not tears of joy. Tears of panic. Her grandmother is standing next to her, holding her arm tightly. 7 months after the wedding, Madison was born. Lorraine told everyone Madison was 5 weeks premature. But Madison weighed 9 pounds. A 9-pound premature baby? Impossible. No doctor believed it, but no one in the family dared to ask. David believed it, because David loved Lorraine blindly. He raised Madison as his own daughter. He loved her for 35 years without ever knowing. But that was not the worst part. Carol told Casey, "Your mother never stopped seeing Frank." Lorraine had a Thursday book club for 20 years. Every Thursday, from 6 p.m. to 9 p.m., she would tell David she was going to book club. There was no book club. She was going to Frank Delaney's condo. Frank's first marriage to the heiress ended in divorce after 10 years. He never married again. And for 20 years, he and Lorraine continued their affair every single Thursday. Casey felt like she was going to faint. She and Nora decided to see it with their own eyes. The next Thursday night, they drove to Frank Delaney's condo. And there it was, parked in front, Lorraine's silver Lexus, at 8:30 p.m. on a Thursday. It was true, every word. The day after, Lorraine texted Casey, "I heard you went to see Carol. Don't listen to her stories. She is old and confused and has always been jealous of me." Casey didn't reply. A week before Madison's wedding, Lorraine came to Casey's apartment. She closed the door. She took out a checkbook. She wrote a check for $20,000. She slid it across the table to Casey and said, "Casey, honey, I know things have been hard. I want to help you with your medical bills from the accident. Here, take this, and let's just keep the past in the past. Don't ruin your sister's wedding week with old rumors. Be a good big sister for once." It was not help. It was hush money, a bribe to buy Casey's silence. Casey looked at the check, $20,000. That could have paid her hospital bills. She pushed it back. She said, "I don't want your money. I want the truth." Lorraine's face turned cold. She said, "If you tell David, you will be the one who destroys this family. Not me. You. Madison will never forgive you. David will never recover. Is that what you want? To be the family destroyer?" Casey said, "This family was destroyed 35 years ago. You just made us all live in the ruins." Lorraine left, slamming the door. Casey knew what she had to do. She could not tell her father in an angry fight in the kitchen. Her father deserved better. She remembered her father loved fishing, so she invited him to Mercer Lake, their old spot from when she was a little girl. It was just the two of them. Quiet water, no phones, and on that little boat, Casey told her father everything. She showed him the blood cards. She explained the genetics. O+A cannot make AB. Ever. She told him about Frank Delaney, the 1990 pregnancy, the 9-pound premature baby, the 20-year Thursday affair. She showed him the photo of her mother's car at Frank's condo. David didn't say anything for a long time. He just stared at the water. His hands were shaking. Then he started to cry. Silently, a 58-year-old engineer who had never cried in front of his daughter. He said, "For 35 years, I thought I wasn't a good enough husband. I thought if I worked harder, made more money, gave her everything, she would love me more. Now I know she never loved me. She was just hiding." But then he wiped his tears and said something that shocked Casey. He said, "Thank you for telling me the truth. You are the only person in this family who ever did." He also said, "I raised Madison for 35 years. She is still my daughter in my heart. I will walk her down the aisle on Saturday because I gave my word. A father doesn't break his word to his daughter, even if the biology is a lie. But after that, I am done." And that's exactly what he did. Who shows up? On Saturday, Madison got married. It was a beautiful wedding. David walked Madison down the aisle. He smiled. He gave a beautiful speech as her father. He danced with her. He did his duty. Because for 35 years, he was her father. Biology doesn't erase 35 years of bedtime stories. Madison never knew anything was wrong that day. That evening, after all the guests left, David went home. He asked Lorraine to sit down. He said, "Lorraine, tell me about Thursdays." Lorraine tried to lie one more time. She said, "Book club." David said, "No more lies. Call Frank." Lorraine, in a moment of panic, thought Frank would defend her. She put Frank Delaney on speakerphone in their living room. She said, "Frank, tell David that we are just friends, that the blood type thing is a mistake." There was a silence on the phone. Then Frank said, "Lorraine, are you crazy? Don't you drag me into this. You were the one who kept coming over. I told you years ago it was over. Leave me alone and don't call me again." He hung up. He threw Lorraine under the bus to save himself. That was the end. On Monday morning, David went to a lawyer and filed for divorce. Lorraine lost everything. In the divorce settlement, because David could prove infidelity and fraud, he kept the house. Lorraine had to move into a small 2-bedroom apartment near a laundromat on the other side of town. The same laundromat where she used to complain about poor people going. Her friends stopped calling her. Her social circle exiled her. Frank Delaney sold his car dealership 6 months later and moved to Florida with a new, younger girlfriend. And Madison? 3 months after the wedding, Madison sent Casey a text message. The text said, "I did a blood test for fun with my husband. I am AB positive. David is O. Mom is A. I did the Google search too. Thank you for not telling me before the wedding. I think I always knew deep down I was different. Can we talk?" Casey and Madison are now slowly talking. It's not perfect, but it's honest for the first time. 1 year after the accident, Casey had to have a minor follow-up surgery to remove scar tissue from her spleen removal. This time, when she woke up from anesthesia, the chair next to her bed was not empty. Her father, David, was sitting there. He had brought flowers. Real flowers, not gas station flowers. He had been there for 6 hours, just waiting. He held her hand and said, "I am here, kiddo." And Casey finally understood the lesson of her entire life. True family is not defined by blood. Blood is just genetics. True family is defined by who shows up. Her mother shared her blood, but never showed up when Casey was dying. Her father didn't share blood with Madison, but he showed up for Madison for 35 years. And he showed up for Casey when it truly mattered. The people who love you are not the ones who say it in a group chat. They are the ones who sit in the hard chairs in the hospital waiting room. Casey is doing better now. She still works as a nurse. She still helps people. But she no longer auditions for love. She knows who her family is now. And Lorraine? Last time anyone saw her, she was eating alone at a diner near that laundromat. The end of a 35-year lie. If you are still watching, I want to ask you something personal. Have you ever been the Casey in your family? The responsible one? The invisible one? The one who always gives but never gets? Have you ever sat in a hospital room or a hard moment in life, looking at an empty chair? If you have, I want you to know, you are not alone. And you are not unlovable. Sometimes the family you are born into is just not capable of loving you the way you deserve. But that doesn't mean you won't find your people. The ones who show up. If this story hit you in the heart, do 3 things for me right now. Number 1, hit that like button. It tells YouTube to show this story to another Casey out there who needs to hear that she is not alone tonight. Number 2, subscribe to Calm Drama Stories and hit the bell. Because every single week I bring you true emotional stories about family, betrayal, and healing that you will not find anywhere else. Number 3, and this is the most important, go to the comments and tell me, have you ever had to discover a painful family secret? How did you handle it? I read every single comment, and your story might heal someone else. Your comment might be the reason someone else feels seen today. And if you know someone, a friend, a sister, a coworker, who is the Casey of her family right now, share this video with her. Send it to her and just say, I thought of you, and I am here. Because at the end of the day, that's all that matters. Showing up. Thank you for listening to my story. My name is Casey, and remember, you deserve a chair that is never empty. I'll see you in the next story.